EA and BioWare, quote, remain committed to next Mass Effect game amid Saudi Arabian buyout. On In7 Day last Friday, BioWare releases its yearly blog post to commemorate the day to assuage fan fears that the game remains in development amidst EA buyout by Saudi Arabia's private investment fund, alongside private equity firms Silver Lake and Affinity Partners. Quote, like you, we've heard the rumors lately, the post from executive producer Mike Gamble partly reads, quote, you've made it clear you care deeply about what's next, so let's start by setting the record straight. The next Mass Effect game is in development, and EA and BioWare remain committed to telling more stories in this universe. The truth is, the last few years have been an incredibly busy time at BioWare, but currently the team is heads down and focused exclusively on Mass Effect. We have a lot of universe to cover, lots of features to build, and lots of romances to figure out. We're excited by what we're building, and we promise you, when we're ready, it'll be a lot of fun to show. In7 Day would also see the release of a teaser trailer for the franchise's untitled entry that depicts a masked figure in a variant of the fictional In7 armor walking into an unknown environment. In the same post, Gamble emphasized its Mass Effect TV series in collaboration with Amazon was still underway. Quote, the writer's room is going strong, and we've got a lot figured out about how it fits within the Mass Effect canon and where it sits in respect to the new game. The show will explore a brand new story within the universe's timeline and will be set after the original trilogy. It won't be a retread of Commander Shepard's story, but after all, that's your story, isn't it? Okay, if you want to take that perspective, that's valid. The acquisition spearheaded by Saudi royal family would see EA and its subsidiaries go private in the $55 billion deal, foretelling layoffs to come, as Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier describes the impact of the $20 billion debt EA will take on to finance the purchase of the company. Quote, the leveraged buyout will be financed by a staggering $20 billion of debt, which likely means some aggressive cost cutting is ahead for EA in the coming months and years, Schreier writes on Blue Sky. Founder and owner of Affinity Partners Jared Kushner, son-in-law of U.S. President Donald Trump, has close ties to the Saudi government, much like his father-in-law. In Trump's first term, Kushner was responsible for facilitating a $110 billion weapons deal with Saudi Arabia during Trump's first term. After Trump's term concluded, Kushner's Affinity Partners would accept $2 billion from the PIF, which is owned by Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Kushner defended the deal, saying, quote, if you ask me about the work that we did in the White House for my critics, what I say is point to a single decision that we made that wasn't in the interest of America.
It's going to come out, right? That's not our concern. Isn't that Mass Effect's going to come out? It's that how is it going to come out? Oh, you don't think so, Tavin?
I think there's a very fair shot that BioWare doesn't exist in the next 3 years.
BioWare maybe, but Mass Effect's a different thing.
The Mass Effect that they're working on right now, I don't know if that comes out in the next couple of years. I would like it to. I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. I love Mass Effect. I would love to see the franchise return and sort of recapture some of the glory of the original trilogy days. And listen, the word that they're saying, hey, we're working on it. Yeah, sure, that excites me. I'm glad you're working on it, and I believe you will be working on it. Everybody's working on it, right? There was also some images shown where very Krogan focused. There seemed to be like a heavy influence that a Krogan civil war was gonna take place in this next Mass Effect, which I think that's some interesting ground to tread if something to that scale is going to happen. And I think it kind of makes sense with where the galaxy is left off after the events of the original trilogy. I think you have a lot of very big galaxy widespread questions to answer of if you're doing after the original trilogy, what is that gonna look like? And then of course, the Amazon TV show after the original trilogy. Okay, that's choice. I don't hate that choice.
That's fan service stuff, basically.
I feel like you're making it harder on the showrunners because you got to do a lot of legwork to justify every choice you make, because the choices done in the original trilogy are too grand and too expansive that like you have to say what Shepard did. And at that point, if you have to do that much legwork, wouldn't it just be more interesting to just show us what Shepard did?
Or do something that's not after the events of the Mass Effect trilogy? There's tons of stuff that happened beforehand that are alluded to.
We could still do the Reaper War, but from somebody else's perspective, like that's fine too. So yeah, I have a lot of questions about that and how you're going to justify that. But of course, always interested, always down for more Mass Effect. Very excited to hear that they're going to keep going. Very hopeful that they're going to keep going. EA, big layoffs are coming. And you're going to see teams get shuttered. The current state of where BioWare is, what Dragon Age the Veilguard did, what Anthem did, what you can debate on the quality of the games individually, but that's 3 financial flops in a row. And that's very, very upsetting and very telling as to where EA is going to cut next. And I don't have a lot of hope for BioWare. Like, optimistically, I hope everything's fine, but like, I think we're seeing the beginning of the end of one of the most legendary game studios of all time.
It's very, very possible, but I just don't see on the Saudi side of things, when they're making an acquisition like this, and the investors side of things, when they're looking at what EA owns, why would they not think to themselves, well, one of the bigger named ones is BioWare, is Mass Effect, whatever you want to, whatever they would say they care about the most. Since they're going to be owning it, they're kind of past failures. They can kind of sweep that aside and say, well, now we're in charge. We're making the decisions, so it's going to be different. And so they don't maybe necessarily feel the need to just completely get rid of something like BioWare. My more concern is with the smaller studios that don't have any kind of name recognition that doesn't benefit them in any way. So you just, when you're trying to save money due to the fact that you're going to be in debt, those smaller ones I see are going to be the ones that are going to get axed. The reason why Saudi would buy this in the first place are going to continue to be existent, even though layoffs will, of course, massively happen in those areas as well. I'm giving them too much benefit of the doubt because they are just trying to save money. They're getting in bed with Saudi Arabia. So moral scruples aren't really a thing that they probably consider that much.
You also theorize that they might be selling off some IP in order to kind of combat that $20 billion debt that they've got hanging over their heads. I mean, I could see a couple of IPs going away and the rights to several franchises, moving on to different publishers and so forth. I think Dragon Age is one of them. I don't think Mass Effect is one of them. And of course, contracts and deals that they have with the sports game studios, I think all of that's going to be the same. But we'll see. It just doesn't feel like there's a bright future ahead for EA as a whole, but also just BioWare on the smaller scale.
Yeah, and this deal's going to pass. The government, U.S. government, because of its connections with Jared Kushner and Trump himself in Saudi Arabia, they're probably going to talk about how great it is if they even commented on it at all.
Connor, have I ever told you who my favorite Mario brother is?